Well, you may have heard about the scary Netflix series called 28 Days Haunted. In this series, a paranormal researcher and a psychic stay in a haunted building for 4 weeks with no connection to the outside world. We're talking about just them and the cameras to document what they find. One of those buildings they featured in the United States is right here in the Piedmont. It's in downtown Madison. So, of course, we had to take a tour with owner Richard Miller of Madison Dry Goods Store. So, Richard, this building is how old?
114 years old. It was built in 1908.
What was it originally?
Well, originally in 1908, it was a hotel, Hotel Sterling Webster, and it was Penn Hardware Company. It's all combined together. So the hardware store was, if you face the building, was on the right-hand side, and the hotel was up on the second and the third floor.
All right, so we're on the second floor, and let's go back. Yeah, this is the hotel, right?
Yeah, these are the original hotel rooms.
Wow. So these would have all been hotel rooms
right,
in here.
They all would have been hotel rooms, and they had the transom windows up above. But this was a big tobacco maker for Madison. They had 44 tobacco plug warehouses, so this were a lot of business people stayed at that time.
Obviously, we talk about spirits and that type. Right. You got a building this old, you got to have some ghost sounds and stories.
There's quite a few.
Have you ever had anything?
We've had pictures moved, pictures fall off the wall. We've heard a lot of things. There's a little girl that's been floating around for years. I haven't personally seen her. Other customers have. It's just a little strange sometimes. And I've walked through cool spots. And then we'll have people come in, they won't even come upstairs.
So Richard, I'm from Surrey County, so that Lawson family story, that's been around. Tell me first what happened with that family, and then we'll talk about this room.
Okay, well, it's a tragedy story for sure. On Christmas Day in 1929, Charlie Lawson, he killed himself and his entire family except his older son, Arthur. When they closed the hotel, it was pretty typical in those days for hardware stores to sell caskets, so they opened a funeral service. So TB Night Funeral Service is located here on the second floor. And this was the only place that was large enough at that time to handle that many bodies at one time, and they had an elevator and a wide staircase. So that's why they came to Madison from Germantown. So
this would have been, like if we look at it over here, this would have been the embalming room?
This was the embalming room for the Lawson family. That's one reason that's wide up there, where the curtains would be and everything.
Richard, you took me to the third floor. Not many people get to come up here, right?
Absolutely. And the reason being, it's spooky.
Lots of paranormal activity up here?
A lot of cold spots. And in fact, if you're leaving, I'm going right behind you if you don't mind.
If the owner says it's time to leave, don't you turn that light out, Manny. Don't turn it up.
You survived.
I made it. I made it. All joking aside, it is creepy. And so that last place where you saw us, the public can't even get up there. They leave that alone. Now, what Netflix did, they were there for 28 days. That's the thing, is that they send in a psychic and a paranormal researcher. There's a place somewhere in the Northeast, I can't remember, Connecticut, I think, in Colorado, and here. And 3 different teams, and they can't talk to anybody. They can't leave the house. They stay in there for 28 days, and they say the stuff. I've already started watching it.
Wow.
And
so
it's
when
incredible.
Are you staying the night?
I asked him about that. He said, we don't let people stay overnight normally. Netflix paid him to let people in there, but it's a pretty cool place, and the history in that thing is unbelievable.
Definitely going to check out that series. I like anything where I can learn more about the history of an area, but still get a little spook here and there.
And how about that building has only been owned by 2 people since 1908? One family in the beginning, and then in the mid-90s, Richard took it over.
How about that door creak? That's going to haunt me, that sound.
Yeah, by the way, that was not a sound effect. That was the actual door.
That was a real thing.
Yeah.
Oh.